name's Jewel, and I work for Essex St. Cheese. And I manage our education and marketing programs. I'm really excited to introduce to you our third Gouda in the L'amuse brand. It's called Rispens, and it's a sheep's milk Gouda from the Netherlands. It is a result of an original collaboration with Betty Koster in Amsterdam, and truly unlike any other sheep's milk Gouda available in the Netherlands or anywhere else. I want to share with you some really important information today about the history of shepherding in the Netherlands, how we came to find this cheese, and most importantly, the family who the cheese is named after that have been so wonderful to work with in their young but thriving cheese career. So let's get started. This Gouda comes from the region of Friesland, which is located in the northeast quadrant of the Netherlands. They have their own language, a unique culture of their own, incredibly flat topography full of pastures, which is great for cow grazing. Traditionally, the agriculture in this province is dairy cows, but also a little bit of sheep for their meat. Overall, though, like most of the Netherlands, there just isn't a lot of sheep. The reason for that is because sheep are really actually used in the Netherlands as pasture control. The majority of the Netherlands is actually located below sea level, which means the pastures are created using the polder technique with windmills and dikes to reclaim land. But that means they can be a bit unstable, so the sheep are used to compress and stabilize the ground. For that reason, there's not a whole lot of sheep dairy production in the Netherlands. So when we approached Betty Koster to help us find a sheep's milk Gouda in the Netherlands to finish out the brand, it took a while, in fact, over 3 years. Initially, there were a couple of different ones, and we thought, okay, but these are a lot of inauthentic flavor additives and starter cultures that create overly caramelly flavors and really forced structures. When we're looking for cheeses, we want to find ones that include recipes using traditional or natural ingredients so that the raw material, milk, shines. Next, we found some cheeses that were delicious, but the milk didn't come from the Netherlands. In fact, they used milk from Spain or Belgium or Germany. So again, we continued to run into products that did not meet our criteria. If you're fans of Betty Koster's cheeses, you probably have had the L'amuse Signature Gouda and L'amuse Brabander Gouda, two great representations of cows and goat's milk Goudas from the Netherlands. Our goal was to find a sheep's milk Gouda to finish out the line, so you could have a beautiful Gouda tower starting with L'amuse Signature at the bottom, rich in orange, then Brabander, bright white, and something to sit right on top like a cherry. So until we found it, we weren't satisfied. Then the best thing happened. In the summer of 2019, the Rispens family, who you see here, came into Betty's cheese shop to ask if she could help them sell their sheep's milk Gouda. They are located in Friesland and work with a Lacombe breed of sheep, which is the same sheep in Roquefort cheese. They've been working with sheep their entire lives, but with meat breeds. Father and mother, Jacob and Maria on the left, wanted to have their children be involved in the family business, so allowed them to weigh in on the direction they would like to take. Iba and Yanida on the right, with their uncle, weren't interested in meat. They're interested in dairy. So in 2017, they convinced their parents and put some of their own labor in to bring over 300 Lacombe sheep from France. They learned from local farmers about genetics and how to breed correctly. The Lacombe sheep are amazing because they're able to use the males for meat, so they're able to have both businesses existing and breed their own lambs to fill their flock. So now they embarked on this new adventure, but ran into some stress. The reputation of dairy farmers in Friesland is incredibly negative, not because of what small farmers like the Rispens are doing, but because of what the very large corporations are doing. The largest milk producer in the Netherlands and one of the top 5 producers in the entire EU produces 1.2 million liters of milk a day. It runs 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It is an eyesore to this incredibly beautiful landscape. So there are 2 opinions of the dairy farmer. You're either the farmer causing global warming because you sell your milk to these places that profess to care about the environment but are heavy on the carbon footprint. Or if you're the creamery, you're buying milk from these dairies and don't value them. There's another line on a spreadsheet. And so the artisanality, the farmer's heritage or goals don't mean anything. The creamery just needs their milk to make some sort of ambiguous cheese or yogurt that no one's ever going to tell a story about. And so the Rispens family really wanted to make something of their own, but how do you find the right partners? So they started selling their milk to a smaller cooperative nearby. What's really cool about these cooperatives is that they had the opportunity to not actually pool their milk with other dairy producers. They're assigned days of the week where only their milk is used and they get their own product. What usually happens is they have a contract with this cheesemaker, and then they're able to have an insurance plan as such, where they're able to have a continuous place to sell their milk and not be responsible for having to sell the end product, whether it's ice cream or yogurts or fresh liquid milk or cheese. This seemed like the perfect solution. Rispens could focus on the animals, knowing their milk was going to a good home. However, in September 2018, they lost this contract because they were now providing too much milk to the cooperative. The cooperative was overwhelmed with then managing the brokering and sales of the cheese. So they promised to still make them cheese, but they needed them to sell their own product. So now comes Betty. The Rispens family had heard about Betty because of other relationships that she has in Friesland with small farmstead producers. They said, if you need to sell cheese, you need to talk to Betty Koster. So they visited her shop to ask for her help, and she said, this is perfect. I'm looking for a sheep's milk Gouda with a story from my friends in America. She tasted it. It was delicious, but she had some thoughts and wanted to explore the recipe. They were just doing whatever the cooperative told them to do, which was using quick maturing starters. Quick maturing starters have become really popular since 2015 in the Netherlands and Belgium due to real estate costs and increasing demands for cheese, aged cheese in particular. Real estate is incredibly expensive, and so loans to rent space to aged cheese have become very difficult and very demanding. So if you're waiting years and years and years for a paycheck, banks don't feel so good about that. So opleggers, or affineurs in Dutch, are forced to sell cheese at a younger age. But everyone wants crunchy crystals, so they aren't happy with younger cheese. So the labs created the quick maturing starter, which allows a cheese at 18 months or even younger to have these bold textures of a 4-year-old cheese. However, it's not very natural in texture. You probably had these cheeses before, and what you might notice is that it's a bit of plasticky or difficult to break down in the mouth. You have all this moisture of a young cheese, but then the crystallization, which creates an awkward mouthfeel. The crystals are there, but not because of natural breakdown of the amino acids to form tyrosine crystals. So Betty asked Jakob and their children if they would be interested in changing starter cultures now that they are in charge of the recipe. As a team, we really wanted to show off the beautiful milk of the Lacon sheep. If you are familiar with Roquefort cheese from France, it has that incredible richness of the sheep with dark fruit flavors like fig, cherry, ripe peaches, with really decadent, complex underlying layer of earth. We wanted to show that off in this cheese, so don't have the quick maturing or Helvetica starters commonly used mask those flavors. Jakob's response was, you're the expert, whatever you need. So they changed the recipe to a more traditional starter culture cocktail. And this is the cheese that you have today. See it here? It's got a beautiful straw color and a little bit of crystallization. It's aged 10 months and a 10-pound wheel. So aging occurs more rapidly because of there being less surface area. The goal with the texture is to be toothsome but not powdery, which can happen when you age sheep's milk cheeses for too long. We get notes of roasted coffee, baked brioche, yogurt, rich stone fruit like cherry, hints of rye whiskey, earth peat, and a little bit of bitters and bark at the end. I really appreciate you taking the time to learn about our wonderful L'amuse Rispens sheep Gouda. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to reach out at racheljewel@essexcheese.com.